Brides for sale? In the heart of Bulgaria, a unique tradition still takes place, the so-called bride market. For many outsiders, it seemed shocking, even unthinkable. Yet for the Romani community in certain Bulgarian regions, this event is seen as both a celebration and an opportunity. On the day the market opens, excitement fills the homes of Romani families. Daughters prepare to look their absolute best, choosing stylish dresses, shoes, and jewelry. Families often spend months, sometimes even a whole year, saving money and buying elegant outfits so their daughters can shine. To them, this day is not just about beauty, but about honor, family pride, and tradition. When preparations are complete, families bring their daughters to the market. The goal? To find a suitable groom. But unlike what you might imagine, this is not always a story of forced marriages. Many young girls arrive at the market willingly, hoping this will be the chance to secure their future. Yet, what makes this market so controversial is the exchange of money. The price of a bride can vary, depending on her age, appearance, and the groom's offer. To some, it looks like a transaction. To others, it is part of their cultural identity. How it works, why it exists, and why it continues to spark debate in modern Europe. In the Romani community, preparation for the bride market is not something done overnight. Families begin planning months in advance, sometimes even a year before the big day. The focus is on presenting their daughters in the most elegant and attractive way possible. Expensive dresses, stylish shoes, and glamorous accessories are purchased, often beyond what the family can comfortably afford. For them, this is an investment. A well-dressed daughter represents family honor and increases the chances of attracting a wealthier groom. On the morning of the market, the atmosphere is almost festive. Mothers help their daughters with makeup and hairstyles, while fathers talk about the potential suitors and the hopes they have for a good marriage deal. The daughters themselves often feel both excitement and nervousness. On one hand, this is their chance to find a husband. On the other, they are stepping into an environment where they will be evaluated, not just by potential grooms, but by entire families. When everything is ready, families proudly bring their daughters to the market. It is not unusual for multiple family members, parents, siblings, even cousins, to come along. After all, this is not only about finding a husband, but also about showing the community that their daughter is worthy, elegant, and prepared for marriage.
What makes this event even more unusual is that, unlike modern dating customs where couples meet, talk, and gradually build a relationship, here the meeting happens for the very first time at the market itself. Two people who may have never spoken before might suddenly be matched, with marriage negotiations beginning immediately. At first glance, it might feel strange to outsiders, but within the Romani families who attend, the bride market is seen as a celebration, a place filled with music, dancing, and tradition, where the future of many young women and men is decided in just one day. One of the most striking aspects of the Bulgarian bride market is the subject of price. In many ways, this is what makes the tradition so controversial, because it resembles a financial transaction rather than what we think of as a love-based union. So, how does it work? The price for a bride varies depending on several factors: her age, her beauty, her family's reputation, and sometimes even rare features such as blue or green eyes, which are considered very desirable. Fathers of the girls often set the starting expectations, while the groom's family negotiates. The numbers may shock you. Offers can range anywhere from 20,000 to 50,000 Bulgarian leva, sometimes more. To put that in perspective, 50,000 leva is over 27,000 US, a life-changing sum in a country like Bulgaria, where average incomes are among the lowest in Europe. For Romani families living in poverty, receiving such an amount for their daughter's marriage is seen not as selling her, but as securing her future and strengthening the family's financial stability at the same time. A high price is also seen as a mark of pride. Parents brag about how valuable their daughters were considered, comparing offers as if recalling a badge of honor from their own youth. But here's something important. This is not always about forced marriage. If a girl dislikes the groom or his family, she may refuse the proposal. Similarly, if the mother disapproves, negotiations can be halted. In some cases, the bride herself has a say, especially if she feels no attraction or trust toward the groom. Still, the idea that a girl's value is expressed in money troubles many outsiders. To them, it looks like human trafficking. Yet inside the Romani community, it is often described as a cultural tradition, one that combines marriage, family honor, and financial survival into a single event. The negotiations usually happen right there in the open. Once a price is agreed upon, the families may immediately plan the wedding. From that moment on, the young couple begins their journey together, even if they had never spoken a word before this very day. To understand the Bulgarian bride market, it's important to look beyond the money. For the Romani community, this tradition carries deep cultural meaning.
Many Romani families see the market as a way to protect their daughters. Unlike in mainstream society, where young people often date freely, Romani parents discourage relationships outside of marriage. They believe that early romances, flirting, or even simple friendships between boys and girls can harm family honor. Gossip within the community is taken very seriously, and a girl who is seen as too social might lose her chance of being chosen at the market. This is why many Romani girls do not continue education beyond elementary school. By the age of 13 or 14, many are already expected to marry, and the bride market becomes the official stage where that process begins. To outsiders, this feels like child marriage. But within the community, it is seen as a way of ensuring stability, family ties, and cultural continuity. Of course, not all Romani agree with this custom. Some criticize it, saying it prevents young women from having education, freedom, or independence. Human rights organizations have also condemned the tradition, arguing that it reduces women to commodities. They see it as a form of exploitation, even if the girls claim they go willingly. Yet, despite the criticism, many Romani insist the bride market is not about oppression, but about tradition. They argue that the girls are not forced, that both sides must agree, and that the event is also a festival, filled with music, dancing, and celebration. Families from different clans gather together, catch up with relatives, and enjoy themselves. Even young people who do not intend to marry often attend, simply to socialize and join in the fun. Still, the cultural divide is clear. For the Romani, the bride market is about identity and pride. For outsiders, it raises troubling questions. Is this truly a free choice, or is it pressure disguised as tradition? Is this preservation of culture, or is it a practice that belongs to the past? Despite the heavy debates surrounding it, the Bulgarian bride market is not simply a marketplace for marriage. For many Romani families, it feels like a festival. On the day of the market, entire communities gather. Old cars, often Mercedes or BMWs, roll into the area, polished and decorated to show off wealth and status. This show of wealth is part of the tradition, a sign that both families take pride in presenting themselves with dignity. Music fills the air. Traditional Romani dances are performed with clapping, singing, and drums creating a lively rhythm. Children play in the background, while adults mingle and exchange stories. For many, it is not only about marriage, but also about reconnecting with distant relatives and reinforcing community bonds.
Even those who do not plan to marry sometimes come to the market simply to enjoy the celebration.
They laugh, they dance, and they watch the negotiations with curiosity. Couples who do form agreements often leave the market smiling, with celebrations continuing at the bride's family home. There, a small party is organized, with food, music, and dancing, marking the beginning of a new life together. In this way, the bride market functions as more than just a place to buy a bride. It is a social gathering, a cultural marker, and a way for the Romani to preserve their identity in a rapidly modernizing Europe. Today, the bride market takes place mainly in Stara Zagora, one of Bulgaria's largest cities. With a Romani population estimated at around 20,000, this city has become the heart of the tradition. Because this is the only recognized bride market in Europe, it attracts attention not only from locals, but also from curious visitors and journalists from across the continent. Every year, people come to watch, photograph, and sometimes criticize the event. For Bulgaria, this unexpected tourism even contributes to the local economy. Yet the spotlight also raises tough questions about how such a practice fits into the values of modern Europe. On one side, the Romani community defends the market as a proud part of their heritage, insisting that it is voluntary and joyful. On the other side, critics argue that reducing marriage to beauty, wealth, and bargaining strips away human dignity. They worry especially about the young age of some brides and about how lack of education leaves them with little choice but to marry early. So, what is the truth? Perhaps it lies somewhere in between. The bride market is not simply about buying and selling. It is about culture, identity, and survival, but it also reflects the struggles of poverty, tradition, and modernity colliding. For the Romani, it remains a celebration of life, family, and continuity. For the outside world, it is a mirror that forces us to question our assumptions about freedom, tradition, and the price of marriage. Whether you see it as a tradition worth preserving or a practice that should fade away, the Bulgarian bride market continues to stand as one of the most unusual cultural events in Europe, where beauty and wealth decide the future, and where marriage begins not with love stories, but with negotiations.